children, benefiting Children's of Wisconsin, of course. Imagine a marathon runner crossing the finish line. They're in peak physical condition. Obviously, they have been spending months, if not years, training. For more than 4 hours, they've been running uninterrupted, 26.2 miles, right? Their body is soaked with sweat. Their chest is heaving. Their heart's pounding. And now imagine that runner is a 1-year-old baby. And as soon as he finishes that first marathon, he runs another one. We're talking about Ezekiel Charles. Mom, Jennifer, Dad, Faulkner. They join us right now from the Oshkosh area, the Charles family. Thank you so much, you guys. How are you today?
Good.
We're doing great. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
No, thank you. So you guys have quite a large family. You got 4 boys? Is it 4?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
That keeps you busy, I'm sure.
Really keeps you busy. But we're here to talk about the littlest guy, Ezekiel. All right. So he's 1 year old now? Is that how old?
He is now, yeah. And last October, he turned 1.
All right.
No, he's not a marathon runner.
No, he's not. But his heart.
No.
Not yet.
When did you first notice the heart beating like that?
So that was in June. So he wasn't 1 yet. And he was laying on my lap, taking a nap. And he was kind of restless for his nap. Nothing out of the ordinary. And so he woke up and I don't know, I just was holding him and by his chest area and I felt his heart. And I know babies' hearts typically go faster.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, you can actually feel his heart. So I don't know, maybe an hour later, I came up to Faulkner and I was like, look, isn't this crazy? You can actually feel his heart. I wasn't concerned at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, that's not normal. You need to take him in. And I was like, I do not want to take him in. This is ridiculous. And so we kind of didn't agree to disagree on whether we should take him in or not.
Yeah.
And especially with COVID going on.
Right.
So I went in and I didn't know what to say to the nurses. They asked, why are you bringing him in? I'm like, I can feel his heart. I don't know. And I was like, I understand there's probably nothing wrong. They'll just send us on a way. You can just tell me I'm, an over-exaggerated mother. And I said, actually, my husband wanted me to take him in. And so the nurses, they checked it. They did some math on the paper. And she's like, well, we'll see. It might be a little fast, but we'll see what the doctor says. So, okay. And he's sitting on my lap just fine. There's no fussing, no crying, actually having a good time.
Not in any pain that you know of.
Right. And again, I told the doctor, I'm sure there's nothing wrong. I'm sorry to bother your time with this. And he leans in, listens to his heart. He sits back, and obviously we're all covered with our masks. And he said, I'm ordering an EKG and sending you to the emergency in an ambulance. And I just kind of looked at him and I was like, are you messing with me? Because this is not a funny joke.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to read his face. And I said, oh, okay. I said, my car's parked out. I can take him myself. It's like a 5-minute drive. He's like, no, I don't know if he's going to make it. And I was like,
wow.
What?
Yeah. How do you digest that news?
right. So still, I didn't really know what was going on. They hooked him up on the machines and stuff. And I didn't know what everything was happening. Or it wasn't until, several days later, talking with Dr. Singh, the importance of it. I mean, I saw the monitors and it kept blinking, flashing 0 and 300. And I thought, there's something wrong with your machines. It keeps zeroing out. And there's that's because it's going faster than the machine can read. So
when you get them to Children's, Wisconsin, had they ever, how fast was the little guy's heart, Ezekiel, how fast was his heart beating? And had they seen anything like this before?
They have not. They clocked him at 360.
360
Wow.
beats a minute?
Yeah.
How is that even possible? It's hard to understand that.
Right. And that's what's the mysterious part. And he showed no symptoms. Usually people probably would not be surviving. On our way to Children's, they put on the defibrillators in case his heart would just stop because it's too much. When he gets into the 200s and what his heart, they say people are usually on the ground non-responsive. So at 360, which has never been clocked before, it was quite a mystery.
What did they diagnose him with? Is there a specific diagnosis that they have?
Pardon me?
Is there a specific diagnosis that they were able to give?
So after several tests and stuff, they came up that, if I say it right, venticular tachycardia. So what's happening is that there's a misfiring in the heart. And they had talked about why a lot of people are like, oh, why don't you put a pacemaker in? But usually a pacemaker is for hearts that pulse, and it shocks it to start pumping the right way. Again, another mysterious thing that's happening with Ezekiel is that his heart is actually pumping so fast regular. It's not pulsing. It's taking a normal heart, strong heart, and just putting it on fast forward. And so that's why a pacemaker went.
So he's become as we say at Children's and at the Herma Heart Institute.
Yes.
The most amazing thing to me, though, is you're saying no symptoms. Like he's fine, other than the fact that everybody's saying, oh my God, his heart is beating way too fast.
So he doesn't look like he's run a marathon every time this happens. It's just
no.
So what have they been able to do for him?
So they, after many trial and error, we have him on some medication. So in the beginning, they tried him on one medication, and it seemed to work. And then we were sent home, and after a month, his heart was back up to 270. And again, the second time I felt him, he was trying to crawl into the dishwasher, and I grabbed him and I was like, oh, I feel his heart again. And so long story short, we started off trying with one medicine. We upped it to try to 2. And I had said to the doctor, I said, so would you ever do like 3? And they're like, no. And here we are, we're at 3 medications, trying to keep his heart at a slower rate. There are times still that he's in the venticular tachycardia, but he's only they want to keep it under 150 because eventually, if it's not under control, it could cause a heart damage.
Sure.
And
Faulkner, as dad, dads always want to, it's just in our DNA, we want to make things better. We want to fix what's wrong. But in this case, you can't fix it. The best thing you can do is simply be there and be supportive. What has your take been relative to Children's Wisconsin, your experience? Tell us about it.
Well, at first for me, it was like you said, I had the inkling to wanting to solve the problem, and I couldn't tell my wife anything. I couldn't give her any concrete facts or answers on how things are going to play out. I felt very helpless. For me with Children's Hospital, for me, it's a haven for children. I mean, I'm so grateful and appreciative of Children's Hospital, their doctors and their staffs, everybody from the janitor to the doctors have been amazing at Children's Hospital. Looking back at that experience, I never thought something like this would happen to me or to us or to kids. I just was never a thought that ever crossed my mind. Obviously you see things on TV, you hear things on radio, you see billboards, etc., and you just never think it's going to happen to you. And then when it did, I felt so helpless. I couldn't give my wife any words of comfort to let her know that things would work out. I mean, I'd be lying to say if I think that, things were going to work out 100%. I had my days where it was not good, so I'm just so appreciative to Children's Hospital, Wisconsin. I mean, it's just been an amazing experience there. The staff were amazing, the nursing staff. I mean, I never felt like we were being rushed. I never felt that they were blowing us off. I mean, everybody was so caring and loving and compassionate there. I mean, they were willing to stop and talk to us. I mean, they would play with Zeke. We got a chance to meet other families there. It was one big family there, and everybody was in it together.
Right.
And it was weird. I can't explain it, but it was an amazing place to be, especially for kids that small, that young, and that are going through something like that. And what they need is hope, and that's what Children's Hospital provided. It was an amazing experience. The support and love they gave to Zeke and my wife. My wife never left Zeke's side. Never. I came and go. I came and went because we have 3 other kids. I had to go and we had to do other things. So I had to drive back and forth from Oshkosh and Neenah and Milwaukee, but she never left this side. And they were so supportive of her. If she needed to eat, she can run down to the cafeteria. Zeke was in good hands. If she needed to take a shower, Zeke was in good hands. They were always willing to serve her however she needed. It was just an amazing process the whole time we were there. I can't be more thankful and grateful for Children's Hospital.
And Faulkner, you brought up a good point. You had all this driving to do, but because it's your son and your family, you would have driven, and many parents do, any number of hours. The fact that it's just Milwaukee to Oshkosh is actually pretty amazing when you think about what some people do, and they go to the ends of the earth, and some people actually move to Wisconsin to be close. We're just fortunate we have it here in our backyard.
Right.
I agree.
Yes.
100%.
How is Zeke doing, by the way?
He's doing good. That's a very interesting question. because he's never shown any signs, so he never looked sick, and so he's good, but his heart sometimes reacts. So we just got done turning in a halter, a 48-hour halter. So instead of constantly bringing us back into the ICU, they need to get a longer stretch of how long he is in ventricular tachycardia. So the medicines are overall keeping his heart stable, you could say. And since he's gonna obviously continue to grow, that's gonna affect his medication. And so over the next couple years, his heart will start acting up, and then they'll just have to go and do their math and
their magic.
Yeah. These doctors are amazing on what they've come up with, and figuring things out. And I was thinking, so at one time we had to spend like 22 days in the ICU, and then another time it was like 20, so give or take about 20 days at a time when we were in the ICU.
Right.
And Ezekiel is not your normal ICU patient.
Right.
And it really threw the staff sometimes for a loop in a good way.
Uh-huh.
And it was just really neat to see how they made it unique for him. You know, you have a toddler, he's learning to walk. I couldn't imagine trying to keep that little boy in a bed
Right.
all the time and not being able to move. And so, you know, he had to have his leads on to monitor his heart 24/7. Well, how are you gonna, you know,
Right.
keep a 9-month-old in wires?
Right.
And so they came up with a like a little box that, like a remote one. And I asked one of their nurses, I said, do you have some tape? She's like, yep, I know exactly what to get. And she goes in the back room, comes back, and there's this tape that we tape the monitor around. And he looks like he has a little jetpack on. So,
Nice.
so we took so many laps. And so that's where we were able to meet families, and
Sure.
Zeke would go and wave at families and the patients. And he
Aw.
just brought a lot of joy. And it was just amazing that the staff was willing to go out of their way for Ezekiel to make him comfortable and, you know, not hinder his process of growing, because again, he's not your normal. He went and did paperwork with the nurses. I have some pictures
Aw.
of him sitting on the nurse's lap trying to get to the computer, and
That's
Yep.
it was neat.
Another other reason the hospital is so special.
It really is. It's just a special place, and it's one of those things where you certainly hope and pray that no one who's listening
Right.
has to go there with their child. However,
Right.
if you do have to go, thank God it's right here in southeastern
Yeah.
Wisconsin. We're just very
Yes.
fortunate, and we're fortunate to have families like you guys and all your boys and Zeke's story to be able to try to tell the story of children's and what happens in that building. It's so much more than just a standalone building there off the
Right.
freeway.
Right. You don't want to need it ever.
No,
No.
but if you need it, thank God it's there. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We really
Yes.
appreciate the time. And
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
having us.
good luck to Zeke too, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care, you guys. Thank you so
Thanks.
much. We really appreciate it.
Bye.
Once again,
Bye-bye.
it's Miracle Marathon, Children's Wisconsin on 96.5 KLH. Thank you guys.
All right,
Really
thank
appreciate
you.
it. All right, take care.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Great meeting you.